Hello, fifth grade. We are going to be making plush monsters today, inspired by the artist Jennifer Strange. It is going to take us a couple of classes to put these together. We are going to be using a material called Smart Fab and felt to create our little monster plushies. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to get 2 pieces of Smart Fab. They are already cut down to a square because that's going to be the simplest shape for us to sew. Your monster can either go vertical like this, or he could be shorter and wider and go horizontal like this. So I think I'll make a horizontal one since I already have a vertical one over here. So you're going to get to pick 2 pieces of the Smart Fab material. Your pieces could be the same color, or you could have 2 different colors. One is going to be for the front of the monster, the other one is for the back of the monster. So if you pick 2 different colors, you'll have a 2-tone monster. He'll be a different color on the back than he is on the front. I picked the same color, but that's up to you. All right, so now I'm going to separate these 2 pieces, and I'm going to get some squares of felt or rectangles. When you make your felt, you want it to be probably at least 2 fingers thick. Any skinnier than that and it's not going to work. What these are going to be is these are going to be my monster's arms and legs. We're not going to worry about the face today. We're just worrying about arms and legs. So I know that I want these to be my monster's arms and legs. So I have 2 pieces that I'm going to turn into arms. You're going to use your big scissors to cut these to create the shape that you want. So maybe I want my monster to have some claws. I will cut that shape. So I can use triangles to help me get some longer, skinnier claws if that's what I want. Or maybe I want my monster to have rounded toes. That's really up to me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut both pieces at the same time. When you are using your scissors, you want to put the fabric all the way to the back of the scissors. You don't want to try and cut with the very front of the scissors because that's not very easy. All right, so I've got some hands. Now I can make some feet. I'm going to line them up so I'm cutting them at the same time and hold them firmly in the middle. And then using the back of my scissors, I can cut the shape that I want for my monster's arms and legs, etc. All right, so nothing too complicated, nice simple shapes. Then using my 1 piece of Smart Fab, I'm gonna lay out my arms and my legs where I want them to go. So his legs could be really close together, they could be really far apart. I'm just gonna kind of lay them out where I want them. Okay. What's important to note here is that the edges do need to line up. Like I can't put it like that. If I wanted it like that, I could cut that part off so that they do go up. So if I wanted to do that, I could cut it so it's at a diagonal, and then now his arm's going down, but I need the straight edge to line up with the edge of my Smart Fab. All right, so once I've got them arranged the way, this is how I want my monster to look when he's finished. But he's not finished yet. So I'm going to need to sew these in place, which we will be doing next week. What I need to do with my arms and legs is I need to flip them so that they are on the inside of the body now. I'm still gonna line up the edge with the edge of my blue Smart Fab, but these are going to get flipped to the inside. So I'm going to make sure that they line up, and it's okay if they overlap or touch or whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. So once I have them where I want them, I'm gonna take my second piece, I'm gonna lay it over the top, and it is see-through so I can still see my arms and legs. Now I need to pin this all together so that it's going to stay. That is how we are going to prep our monsters for sewing. When we do sew, we're going to be sewing along the edges, and then we're going to flip it so that it is right side out so that our arms and legs are back on the outside, okay? So you can see I sewed on one side and then I flipped it inside out, which will make more sense next time. So just trust me today that you want your arms and legs on the inside. We are going to be using T-pins to pin these into place so that they are ready to go for next time. So when I use my T-pins, first of all, they are sharp. I mean, they will poke you. So you need to be very careful as you are using these. What you're trying to do is I need to go through 3 layers of fabric. I need to go through the Smart Fab on the front, I need to go through the felt, and I need to go through the Smart Fab on the back. So I'm going to use my fingers to pinch it together like I'm making a sandwich here. I'm holding it very firm. And I'm going to poke my T-pin through one side, and then I'm going to turn it so that it comes back out the front side, okay? And then I can just slide it down. I want it to go all the way to the inside, so it's out of the way, because I'm going to sew here, so I need my pin to not be hanging off the edge. So when you push your pin in, you want to push it in down towards the middle. You don't want it on the very edge, because we're going to be sewing right there. All right, then I'm going to carefully come around and do the next side. So I'm going to sandwich it in between my hands. I'm going to push my pin through one side, making sure I'm not pushing it where my finger is. I'm going to turn it back towards me, and I can hold my fabric really still with my thumb, and I can push it through like that, flatten it back out, okay? So be extra careful, because now you do have pointy things sticking out at you. So make sure you are paying attention to what you are doing. All right, line. All right, so now my monster is pinned, and he's going to be ready for me to sew next week. This is going to go inside my folder very carefully, and we will save them for next week. All right, so today we will be sewing. We are going to sew the right side, the bottom side, and the left side of our monster, but we're not gonna sew the top. So we'll be sewing these 3 sides today. We're gonna need thread to sew with, we're going to need a needle, and we're going to need a needle threader. This is your needle. Your needle has 2 sides. One side is the sharp pointy side that we're going to use to poke through our monster and sew with. The other side has a small little opening up at the top, and that's called the eye of the needle. So we're going to use our thread, and our thread's going to need to go through the eye of our needle. However, that's mildly tricky because it's a very small opening. So what we're going to use is we're going to use a needle threader to help us. It's just like a little piece of paper that's been folded in half. Kind of looks like a hot dog bun. So you're going to open up your little pink hot dog bun, and you're going to take your thread, whatever color you've chosen, and you're going to put it right there inside, and then we're going to fold it up. Nice little hot dog. Then we're going to take our needle threader, stick it through the eye of our needle like that. And I'm going to pull it on through there, okay? So now I can put this down. Now my needle has been threaded. It is through the eye. Now what I need to do is I need to make this end line up with this end. So I'm going to pull it gently through my needle. You want to be careful that you're not getting your string into all sorts of knots. So did I do that yet? Nope, not quite. Keep going. So I'm going to grab both ends of the string, and then I'm going to pull so that it's even. So I've got my needle in the middle, and both ends of my strings line up at the end. So it is double done. Okay, now I need to tie a knot at the end of this so that it will anchor in place when I sew. So to tie a knot, I make a loop, and then I'm going to take these tails and I'm going to push them through the loop and then pull. So in case we missed that, make a loop, push the tails through the loop, and then pull. I want my knot to be at the end of the string, so I don't want a whole bunch of extra hanging off. So I've got a little bit, but I want my knot towards the end, okay? So what we're going to be doing today is called a whip stitch. We're going to start at the very top here. Careful not to poke ourselves with our other pins. And I need to make sure that my needle goes through both pieces of fabric. So they're not entirely even. So I need to come in a little bit and make sure they go through both. So I'm going to poke them through. And your needle is sharp, so you need to be careful. I'm gonna straighten out my string, make sure it's not getting knotty on me. And then I'm gonna pull, 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 pull all the way until I get to that knot. That knot is going to keep me from going any further, okay? So this is called a whip stitch. So I'm going to whip back around to the back and I'm going to make another stitch. When I make my stitches, they need to be really, really close together. Otherwise, I'm gonna have stuffing that falls out and my monster's gonna start to look pretty sad. So I'm going to whip around back to the back. So in the same spot that I put my last one, I'm just gonna make it not even an inch down, more like a centimeter down. And I'm gonna pull through. And then if I pull too tight, my monster's gonna kind of bunch up like that. If I don't like that, you can just kind of re-loosen it back up and then keep going. I'm gonna whip around to the back. And push my needle through the front. Notice how I'm using my thumb here as kind of a guide. All right, whip around to the back. And push through the front. Still making sure that I'm getting both. Of my pieces of fabric. All right, once I get to the end, I have to tie off and anchor my string. If I just cut here, it's gonna unravel and my monster's gonna fall apart. So to tie off, we're gonna think of our needle as an airplane, okay? Our airplane is going to fly and it needs to pick up a passenger, it needs to pick up a stitch. So it's gonna come up under this stitch and grab it. And then as it's starting to fly away, it's gonna remember, oops, it forgot to pick up the loop. It's going to turn around and come back and it's gonna go through the loop. It forgot to pick up a passenger. And I'm gonna hold it down with my hands and pull. So I'm gonna do that 2 times. So if you missed it the first time, you need to do this twice. So my airplane's gonna fly. It's gonna pick up that stitch. And as it is striking off, it's gonna realize, oops, it forgot to pick up the loop. It's gonna come back around and it's gonna go through the loop. I'm gonna hold this down with my hands and then I'm gonna pull. Right. Now that is tied off, nice and firm, and then I can cut this. So this leftover string can go in the scrap string box. And now I need to repeat the process for the bottom and the other side. All right, now my monster is ready to get flipped inside out. So I can take these pins out now because my arms and legs are now sewn in place. Carefully slide those out. Now I'm going to need to open my monster up and I'm going to flip it inside out. Make sure I push out my corners here. And now he's all sewn and ready for stuffing next time. Next time we're gonna work on putting the face on.